there, fellow manufacturing leaders. I'm Ed Bellina.
Hey guys, I'm Alvaro Cuba. Great to have you with us in this episode. So, what's about the news? What happened this week, Ed?
Well, very, very unexpectedly, I was able to attend a really fun activity with the Augurians. So I wound up spending a little bit of time at Power Week Camp with the Augury team. Me and 150 of my best Augurian friends or thereabouts. Got to meet some great people.
Sounds very exciting.
It was a lot of fun. Many of our friends that we've only seen on calls, I was able to meet in the real world, and that was fun. It was a little rustic. It was a camp environment, really, really cool. I always like to poke a little fun at things. So while I was there, I happened to get a trail cam video of a black bear going through some hunting property that I own, and it was a really cool shot. And it was kind of like just early in the morning, so it was almost black and whitish. So I said, I think I see an opportunity here. So I walked over to one of our fellow Augurians that I know well, and I said, hey, I was, in my bed last night. I kept on hearing the scratching sound, and I really didn't know what it was.
And then you created a riot.
and I went outside and I showed. She goes, where was that? Right outside, like your front door? I go, yeah, pretty much. I quickly had to backpedal because I started seeing the fear in the eyes. I said, no. It's about 5 hours south of here. But a terrific experience. We talked a lot about AI. We talked about the new product offerings that Augury's coming up with. Some real exciting stuff. But more important than anything, I got the opportunity to build some really cool relationships with a bunch of folks from Augury. So I just want to give a big shout out.
The people part,
absolutely,
always the best part.
And I can tell you they are a lot of fun to be with. So, but they work hard. Like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, we're still doing stuff. So, anyway, that was
doing
my
the
weekend.
Stuff or partying?
Well, there might have been a higher level
you
of
don't
partying.
need to be specific.
As the night got on.
Yeah.
How about you? Where were you jetting off to?
I also had a very, very nice week. I was in Peru.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was visiting family, friends, and part of the journey. And, you go there and it's in Peru, a lot of things are around food. So
Yes.
we had breakfast, lunch, and dinner booked every single day, trying to meet with as much as friends, as much as family, and exchanging experiences. And it's the kind of week that you end up and you feel re-energized and
fulfilled.
Fulfilled. Yes, it was very good. And on the professional part, I also had the chance to visit a couple manufacturing plants out there.
Oh, cool.
And I was very glad to see they are starting to put operational excellence and also investing in AI and robotics.
Wow.
and some. But the important thing is, in my experience before, it was kind of not constant effort. No,
right.
Some here, some there, not a consistency across. But I was very happy to see projects that are going on for 3-4 years, results not like this, but starting to get continuous improvement over time. So I was very pleased to see that progress. So all in all, very, very nice week, and I'm back completely re-energized.
Rejuvenate. You know what's funny about the way that progression has happened in some of these other countries. Historically, I think we've seen kind of the leaders in technology, right, launch these new initiatives that may take decades to find themselves into places like Latin America or, the Middle East, et cetera. Some, what you might call less developed. But with AI, and some of that was because, labor arbitrage, right? When you can get very low labor rates, some of this technology doesn't pay out. But I see such a broad interest and adaptation of AI, right? And, 4.0 and all the other alphabet soup that we throw around, that I think it's leapfrogged much quicker than what the historical progression process is for manufacturing improvement. So I think that's huge.
And I think you bring a great point, but I think it's also because different than the previous waves of technology, this one is so easy to implement.
Mm-hmm.
It has almost no barrier of entry.
Right.
No? Because in the previous ones, you need to invest, you need to train, you need to do a lot of things. In this one, you just, for instance, put the sensors, start sending the signals through internet, and a week later, you start receiving even in your mobile.
Yeah.
The trends and what you have to do and all that. So think about it. No investment, minimum training, very fast to implement, and the results are there. So I think it's a great opportunity for everyone around the world. Totally agree with you.
I agree. I think it's democratized, if I said it the right way, manufacturing and supply chain. So with that, we're excited to welcome you to yet another manufacturing meetup podcast. This is a show where we kick back on our downtime. We get real with what happens on the factory floor. We talk about efficiency and even some of the fun times that Alvaro and I have shared on the factory floor. So welcome.
Welcome, guys. So let's talk about a little bit like we do in every episode, just to start with a couple interesting news that we read over the past week. So, Ed, why don't you start us on the news?
Yeah, thanks, Alvaro. I came across something in Beverage News magazine. Obviously, I'm pretty well connected to the beverage industry. And this one was about AI and the impact that AI is having on the beverage business as a whole. And I found it interesting because it was very holistic. They talked about how AI can be applied to every step of the business. One they focused on was understanding consumer trends and likes and dislikes. I remember early in the history of my engagement in this sector, there was a lot of time spent poring over, supermarket data and are we making the right decisions with the brands we're putting out? And you try to correlate that to, open spaces or white spaces where you can go in. It was tremendous amount of work, right? You paid a whole bunch of money to agencies that would give you your share performance and all that, and then somehow puzzle that to improving sales. Nowadays, those days are can be largely behind us because AI is able to get this information, crunch it with a high level of efficiency, and save you a lot of money on bad brand launches. I don't know how many new flavors, for example, I've seen that launch, and they've gone through studies and they've gone through all the marketing tests and the small pilot, and we think we've got something hot, and 6 months later, I'm running off $400,000 worth of obsolete raw materials because it sat there. It was a dog, right? AI is revolutionizing that. Most of the time, you and I talk about how we're utilizing AI for line improvements, process optimization, reduction. So I find it interesting to look at a little bit different side of the business and get an understanding of how marketing folks, right, and R&D is starting to use AI to come up with new products. It'll definitely shorten the life cycle or increase the life cycle, shorten the time to market, and give us products that are, high percentage winners. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm also seeing this is the end-to-end, no? There's
Right.
AI, and not only the end-to-end that we talk about in manufacturing with customer service, logistics, and procurement, is the true end-to-end since the consumer all the way to the supplier.
Right.
And I remember you mentioned, I remember in 2010 trying to do a pilot with Walmart and P&G and us in Kraft to get the data of the POS to try to read
Yeah.
what the demand was and trying to use that demand. Well, we couldn't pass because the technology was not there. The computers didn't have enough power, and it was sheer amount of data.
Yeah.
Finally, now with AI and the new technology, now you can get all this and much more, no? Like you were saying, consumer insights, but then product development, and then supply chain, and then suppliers. So it's the end-to-end power of AI. Totally aligned.
Absolutely. So have you seen anything on our favorite topic, operational excellence?
Yeah, actually, I was reading the Sikich survey. It's a
Okay.
survey that goes to more than 100 manufacturers. And what
Hmm.
it's very interesting is goes quarterly. So it allows you to check what happened in the last 5 years, 3 years, last year, this quarter, and compare the results of the survey. And you and I mentioned this, but now I have some figures. The optimism of the manufacturing executives is going up. It
Great.
grew almost 15% from a year ago.
Wow.
And it is based on two things. One is they are seeing an increase in demand. No, we talk about reshoring, we talk about economy recovering. Well, they are feeling and they are seeing this in their numbers, seeing their demand starting to go up in a consistent way. And the other part is that they are seeing a reduction in the problems with labor. No, we have been talking a lot about all the issues with labor and not enough and the training. Well, between technology, the training, and the new trends, and also the new generations coming on board, apparently the gap is closing. A year ago, 25% were saying it's a problem, only 15%, very low, is saying now it is a problem.
That's
So,
terrific.
very good news in both sides. And the second part is what are they doing about it? What the manufacturers are
Hmm.
doing about it with this more optimism? Well, they are investing and putting time into manufacturing implementation. 77% of the respondents are implementing one or more operational excellence projects in the last 3 years, and 75 will implement this very
This year.
year.
Wow.
No cost, waste, rework reductions, all that is. But I final data that I liked that is 40% of the projects are in operational excellence, 30% are in organization redesign, and 20% are in robotics, AI. And this figure doubled from prior
Wow.
year.
That's impressive. You know, you were as you were talking about the labor situation. It's funny. So I was a little surprised, right? Because I still have this kind of vision that we have, labor issues. It's there, folks. Trust me, I see it on the
Yeah.
floors. But um, we just heard the labor stats, right, from the government that showed much higher labor force growth than what was expected. So people were kind of watching this jobs report to figure out, hey, is this starting to slow down enough that maybe they could ease up on the interest rates? Because there's all the fear about inflation. But the reports came back. I think it was almost 300,000 new jobs were added.
Mm.
So what you and I have been talking about a little bit, right? We've been talking about this for probably 6 or 9 months. The dribs of, hey, the good news, the good news. I think it's starting to come across, and we may just get away with not having a hard, recovery, right? This thing may smooth its way to the kind of growth we're looking for. But all this work makes a lot of sense because, as we've talked before, cost is king right now. And all of these initiatives will drive cost improvement, bottom line results. that right now it seems to be that's where the bulk of the need is at this point in time. So terrific news. I
Yeah.
think it sets us up very well.
Yeah. And guys, based on this and the other conversations that Ed and I were having, that had a lot to do with the topic that we choose for today's episode, which is going to be operational excellence. We have talked even in the introduction a lot about it. And you heard on the survey, 77% of manufacturers are implementing right now a project in operational excellence. But a couple things just to set the topic. The one is that's the right place to start, because there is a lot of hype on AI, technology, and robotics.
Right.
But if you don't start by the process and the people implementation, you will end up accelerating the bad things that you
Bad
have.
stuff. Right.
And it's going to be even worse. No? So you need to go first to the base, the people and the process. Once you have it, then you use technology to accelerate your results in the journey. So, but every time we talk about operational excellence, it comes, but what is it? Everyone has a different concept, a different idea. So for this episode with Ed, we wanted to touch bases on what is it, what's the benefits, who is responsible. Then we'll talk a little bit about what are the most common ones and how to choose or between one and the other. What are successful ingredients and what are some of the pitfalls that Ed and I have been experiencing. We have been many, many years on this journey. And so that's the topic for today. So let's start with the setup and let's define operational excellence. So Ed, help me.
Oh, well, I think you covered a lot of it already, right? It's a it is about having a philosophy and a culture of continuous improvement, right? And there was a GM that I knew many moons ago that taught me a really valuable phrase. He grew up in Elizabeth, New Jersey. That guy did, so he called me Eddie. He goes, Eddie, I'll tell you right now, there is nothing as silent as yesterday's applause. Let that sink in, right? There is nothing as silent as yesterday's applause,
Yeah.
right? It's you have to be on a journey of continuous improvement, folks, because guess what? Your customers are on that journey, the consumers, your competitors are on that journey. And if you think your business is stable and at a standstill, I would argue you're not looking at a long enough period of time. Your businesses are either improving or they're either getting better or they're getting worse. So this constant improvement is a value you need to build into the organization. And the unlock to all that is to having business processes that are optimized. They're repeatable, they're easy to understand, and they're largely followed.
It's a competitive advantage.
Yes.
That builds a competitive advantage, no? Because we talk and we hear everything about a competition. No, we need to compete. Well, supply chain wants to be part of that and wants to be the differentiator for the company. So being best in class is not only words, it becomes a competitive advantage to the business through what Ed was saying.
It's an asset, right? If you can go from idea development to the shelf in 8 or 10 months, right? I mean, there's a good chance you're going to be your competition to it. Some of these products start being developed years, right? But if you can figure out how to quickly scale, you can beat your competitor to the marketplace and steal the share. You know, so
and it's not it's not focused only on manufacturing. No, it's focused on the end-to-end in business, but in everything. I was reading over the weekend the Formula One for 2026 has launched its new regulation, and it's not only about speed and agility. Now they want sustainability. Then they want safety.
Right.
No, and this way of thinking holistically, no, and end to end, it's in everything we do in every day.
It is, and you may ask yourself, aside from that, why else does operational excellence matter? I try to take it down to the vernacular. Okay, nobody likes to run a crappy line, folks. Right? Whether you're the plant
Yes.
director or you're the VP in charge of the supply chain, and you got this line that you just
And
can't
much
depend
less
on.
if you are the
The
operator that has
or the
is
mechanic.
sweating, or the mechanic and trying to fix things that it's
Oh my
breaking
goodness.
every minute.
Yeah, it's like I've used a couple of examples of Hotel California, but I'll use another one. It's like Groundhog Day, folks. You get
It
up and
is.
every morning the alarm clock goes off, and you're like Chevy Chase, I think it was, waking up going, "Here we go again." No, come on, let's get involved in improving and making every day a little bit less mundane, a little bit more about how you increase capability.
And the other thing is, when you take this holistic approach that we are talking about, this continuous improvement, then you not only hit cost. Ed was saying earlier, cost is king. But when you implement this, you really hit cost, which is great, but responsiveness, agility, which deals with the top line in the business
Yep.
and the revenue. And it's also effectiveness. So doing more with less, which has a big impact in cash flow. So when you ask anyone in the company, well, we want cost, cash, and service. And this is the way that you can hit all the cylinders at the same time.
Yep. No, it is really kind of a turbocharger, right? But it does require a couple of things. People are like, well, who's responsible for this? Well, the truth of the matter, you can start off with saying, well, leadership, right, comes up with the strategy, and then they kind of get the team involved and get the ground level support. But if you really want to optimize operational excellence, it also needs to be shop floor led, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
the strategy comes
Everyone
out.
is
Yeah.
responsible.
Yep. The engagement has to be there. Listen, you can't get a rowboat to go fast if you got one person pouring the oar in the other and the other one just leaving it out on the water, crossing drag, right? We need both those oars pulling. And having organizational alignment and employee engagement is critical to maximizing OpEx. Doesn't mean you can't apply some of these techniques, right, without that and gain results. Depends where you are in your operation at that point in time. But you really want to maximize and you want to gain the morale implications of a better Rhine, go with a high degree of engagement. It really is the huge unlock.
And it's engagement of everyone, because
Yes.
that's on the floor, but all the other sections, there are the supporting sections, the quality department or the R&D department, or everyone needs to chip in. Everyone needs to feel this is for the best of the business, but at the same time, each one of us is going to gain.
Yeah, and your comment about being holistic about it, right? You would think, oh, this operational excellence. How does engineering get involved in that, right? But let me tell you, one of the most impactful concepts in TPM is early management. I think many of us in manufacturing have been the recipients of not fully cooked or digested projects where we wind up figuring out how to get the equipment to run, right? Early management gets you involved early in the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember one of the first Krohn's full bottle line we put in the US. I went over to Germany with one of my key mechanics to perform the factory acceptance test. We actually saw the equipment run bottles, right? And that early engagement, I think, was one of the reasons why that project was a success, right? Making sure that it's operator friendly. Sometimes just asking an operator, where do you want your airlines? Where do you want your hoses, right? Simple as that. It makes a huge difference.
The best investment, send your operator when you are buying a new machine or whatever,
Yes.
send them
Yes.
Yeah, the engineers as well, but send the operator. And chances are 90% they are going to change the design.
Yes.
Thinking about how I clean it, how I lubricate it, where the dust gets collected, and all that. And again, everyone wins.
Agreed. Because let's face it, these are the folks that are going to be intimate with this machine 8 to 12 hours a day, right? 5 to 7 days a week. We may go by it once in a while and be impacted by its performance, of course, but this person is going to own it. So I know we get
So
a lot of questions about the most common methods of manufacturers, right? And I mentioned the alphabet soup before: TPM, LSS, SPC. You want to
Lean,
talk lean?
5S,
Yes.
Six
So
Sigma, yeah.
Alvaro, you want to dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, and the question is, yeah, there is all these different methods. So where we start, how we go about it, and in my experience, and I'm sure Ed, it's in yours. Everyone is good.
Yep.
It just depends on where in the journey you are and which of these tools you want to use first. At the
Right.
end, you will use all of them.
Correct.
And everyone has its own contribution to the entire process. This is more about what you use first and what it follows and all that. So my advice is first check where you are.
Right.
Do your self-assessment. Again, in the self-assessment, involve everyone. This is not a self-assessment of the plant manager and a couple people in the staff. No, ask operators, ask mechanics, ask engineering, ask maintenance, everyone, where we are. And based on that, check where you want to be. There is plenty of benchmark
Yep.
out there, no? Then that sets your journey. I want to move from point A to point B. I'm here. That will give you a clue if you want to start with the 5S and put everything in order first, or you want to start with organization and training, or what.
Yeah, I dug into this a little bit because one of the things I was asked to present at the Power Camp was a little bit of a sense of what P&G's IWS system is about, and kind of how and same questions. What's this TPM stuff? LSS. So I found a slide. It's actually, I give credit to Accenture. It comes out of, I think, P&G, but it showed kind of the evolution, and it was really cool for me to see. Procter and Gamble, that system kind of began with high performance work systems. And I was very fortunate that in my early career, when I joined Procter and Gamble, I went into their Mehoopany, Pennsylvania facility, which is one of the birthplaces of their high performance work system, or technician system, as we called it. And I cut my teeth with that, and it was really great. So they started with kind of people engagement, right, to some degree, in culture. But then the progression goes on, like then SPC caught on, and then we started hearing, about 5S, and it progresses down to the Toyota manufacturing, concept or system, which is kind of where P&G got IWS from. In my mind, these technologies have incremented over time. So you implement IWS, it's going to have traces of TPM. It's going to have, not traces, components, but they will have
Components, yeah.
added it, right? And to your point about making it holistic, when P&G looks at work systems, they look from the beginning of the process, almost ideation of new products, all the way out to the sunset, right? And everything in between, where
Yeah.
historically I've just looked more at manufacturing and then expanded my thinking to supply chain. But Alvaro is spot on. There are some things that you probably don't want to start. There are some precursors. Some things follow each other, right? But it never hurts to start with 5S. Organize your place. At least you can see what's going on. And the people engagement, I would tell you that you start that from the beginning, because that's going to catalyze every new bolt-on piece of technology.
I hear you. I totally agree. My advice: start with people, like Ed was saying. No, so people is the one who make things happen, and you are delivering some results based on a strategy you have today and based on what the people is doing today. If you want different kind of results, then you need a different strategy. You need to train the people different, and you need to make them understand why we need to change
Right.
to get a different results.
Agreed. It's the enabler, right? That makes things work. It's
Yeah.
like trying to push a cart with square wheels versus round wheels.
So
So
what are some, in your experience, of the key for success in this journey?
I I think it's important to recognize that this is a major undertaking, okay? And it is going to take time, it's going to take investment, and it's going to take discipline. I try to break work down into is the work operational, is it tactical, or is it strategic, right? Well, this operational excellence journey is got components across that breakdown. There's some things you need to do from an operational standpoint, right? Some you need to do from a tactical, and then there's the strategic. And one of my biggest frustrations on that front has been that many companies approach this like it is like these are events, or it is the program that we're launching onto for the next year or 2 years. I'm sorry, based on what I've seen, if you want to do this, you need to understand this is a 5 to 10 year journey minimum.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean you're not getting improvements from day one, right? But you need to make that commitment. You need to commit the resources, and you need to have the intestinal fortitude not to run away when your profits are getting squeezed and people are asking you for the money that you've invested in this program. You have to have the confidence and the belief that you're doing the right thing to say, no, I'm sticking to the course.
Yeah.
Too many book of the month clubs that all they do is they create an organization that is accustomed to getting pulsed once a year with this is the management book of the year, and that goes out next year when a new book comes out, and
Mhm.
that's not good for your organization.
Align, align with you. I would say, if one is, you need to have a vision, a purpose to do it, and to be able to articulate in a way that everyone can understand. Because, like Eddie's saying, when the pressure comes from the top to the bottom, everyone will try to squeeze out or move or time out and let's delay. If everyone understands what's the purpose and what's that we all are going to gain on it, that's an important step. The second one for me is foundation, and we talk
Yeah.
a little bit about it, no? But a typical TPM process, it's always, and the graphics that you were talking, you have always the foundation,
Right.
no, which is people, training, organization, and then you put the pillars on top of it, and then you get the results, which is the ceiling of the house. No, but before going into the pillars, you need to have this foundation very clear. And the last thing is, what's in it for me?
With
Everyone in the journey
yeah.
has to be clear. Not, yeah, this is going to do good for the business. Yeah, it's too ethereal.
Yeah.
It has to do with what's going to do for me, for my family. No, it's going to improve my safety, and then I'm going to be better with my kids. It's going to improve my the way I operate in the day to day. It will allow me to grow, and I will know more. I can become a leader. I will be able to travel. No, but it has to be that granular and that specific to the people that is going to be involved in the process.
And it's interesting because you can sabotage this stuff really fast, really quickly. Okay,
Yeah.
let's say you launch an improvement program on a particular line, and that line will have been running at some level with probably some high levels of overtime. Now your line starts running better, and now you start potentially sending people home because you have no production for them. My goodness, you just shot yourself in the foot because you just made the connection. Oh, so if I help you run this line better, then I kind of need some overtime to make ends meet. You just put your hand in my pocket and you took money. So how is that helping me, right? But if the flip side is, hey, you know what? We have more predictable work hours, and maybe I can schedule you for a 4-hour training class on level 1 maintenance so you can upgrade your skills and all that. But you got to be willing to make that investment and not immediately reap the harvest and take it to the bottom line, because it leaves people, to your point, with, hey, what's in it for me? The other thing I've seen that gets in the way is sometimes when these programs get really embedded in the corporate culture, everybody has a scorecard that they keep, and then we start doing audits in the facilities, and that can go. I think audits are great, but I've seen that go so far off scale because you start giving people credit for what charts they have on the wall, how well visualized stuff is, but their lines aren't running any better. The place still looks the same, and you start rewarding the program elements and the paperwork instead of the true work that happens on the floor and generates real improvement. So there are a lot of pitfalls, but the rewards are just terrific. So a few quick takeaways, and then I'll let Alvaro put the cork on this bottle. So people engagement, you've heard us say that over and over again, right? Make sure that the tool fits the activity. Okay, if your place is in complete mess and disarray, right, trying to go too far up the food chain is counterintuitive. So maybe you start with something like 5S, but it's got to fit what the problem is you're trying to fix. And then you need to have patience. So those are kind of my top 3. Alvaro?
I will bring a couple others. We talk about benchmark. This is not about reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, right.
Everything is there. Everything has been done. There is many companies. In 1960, this journey is going on
Right.
with the Toyotas and the Motorola's of this world.
Yep.
So everything is out there. It's just understand and check where are you and what makes more sense for you. The other is leadership. We talked about not only the leader in the plant, but the leadership of every one of us. Every person participating is a leader. Some
Agreed.
people don't have people reporting, still is a leader. They can show the way to others in the way they behave, in the way they put things out there. And bring someone that knows, bring someone that has done the journey outside that can tell you and then guide you. But guys, go after the journey. 77% already set in the survey. We are going after this. So go for it. It's no matter what, you need it. We have to do it in the right way, yes, but we have to start.
Right.
So put the commitment there, go and start it. So with that, we'll be concluding the episode for today. And after that wrap up, please, if you enjoyed the episode, watch us in YouTube, like us, listen iTunes, and the more important, like we always say, share it with your colleagues, share it with your friends, and let's come to the bar or the coffee shop. Let's get all together. Let's banter. Let's exchange ideas and what works, what doesn't, and have fun.
Absolutely. And if you'd like to keep this going and hear all of the stories that Alvaro and I have in our treasure trove, you can email us at mmu@augury.com. Find us on the Endpoint. The Endpoint is a free online community for manufacturing pros. That's at endpoint.augury.com. We'll also have those links in the show notes for this episode. And please engage with us. We really want to make sure that we are hitting the topics that you're interested in. And it's hard to do that without getting good positive feedback. And by the way, also watch our short takes. They are hilarious. And you know,
They are
and
always us.
they're always fun.
Yeah.
And listen, you keep on engaging with us. We may even commit to putting down a bloopers reel somewhere towards the end of the year. All right, because I think there may be one or two that I think you would all enjoy. So anyway, see you next time.
Yes. See you guys.